Welcome to another episode of the Journey Podcast. I'm your host, Risa Kawamoto, and the Journey Podcast is all about sharing the journeys of purpose-driven individuals from all walks of life who are following their passion and fulfilling the purpose in their own individual, unique way. In today's episode, I'm having a conversation with Victoria Malinjod, a talented European actress, director, producer and model who was born in France to a German mom and a Swiss dad. I first met Victoria in my favorite local Thai restaurant. You probably see the trend here if you listen to my previous episode. I seem to meet interesting people where the food is. My partner and I became friends with the owner of this local independent Thai restaurant, who cooks amazing vegan Thai food, and she arranged a little get-together with some of her regular customers a couple of years ago, and Victoria was there with her partner. There was something about Victoria that really brightened up the dining experience that day. She has this really positive energy and a lovely smile that makes others feel at ease and relaxed. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Victoria. She has gone through an amazing journey, and she also has great advice on how to stay true to yourself. Hi, Victoria. Welcome to the Journey Podcast. I am so excited to have you today and have this conversation with you, and I really can't wait to hear your journey. But firstly, I just want to check in and see how you're feeling today.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for inviting me. I can't wait. And it's really, really nice. I'm really happy to be here.
Me too. And also, please do share where in the world are you joining from today as well?
So I'm in London and I'm based in London. So I'm actually at my place talking to you from London.
Good. And I know the fact that you're quite close to where I live, so
Yeah,
we are quite
exactly. We
which
are
is
nearly
quite
neighbors.
yes. And I guess it's kind of it's nice to have neighbors in London
Yeah,
because your friends can be everywhere, and it can you can be traveling up to an hour on a tube to get to see your
exactly.
friends, so it's nice to know that you live close by.
Yeah, because it's so big.
Yes. Okay, so I would love for you to share first a little bit about your background and
Mhm.
also anything you would like to share about growing up and your early years.
Okay, right. So I grew up in Brussels with a German mom and a Swiss dad, but I was born in France. And so basically, it all started with acting. I started to act when I was 11 years old because I was extremely shy as a kid. Seems hard to believe right now, but I was really, really, really shy. And then, as soon as I started, I really loved it, and I never actually stopped acting. So it was really unexpected. And of course, after that, I wanted to be an actor. And when I was 16 years old, I started my professional career as a stage actress in Brussels, in Belgium. So I was touring there. And yeah, actually, directing came along later. So at the time, I didn't even think about directing at all. It was really I was really focusing on acting. I really wanted to be an actor. So yeah, directing really came later on. And yeah, something funny I want to share is that with my brother and my sister, we used to record movies as kids, and now we all ended up being in the film industry, which is really, really funny. And I also have a half brother. We never grew up together, but he's also in the film industry. So we all
Wow.
in the film industry, but my parents are not in the film industry. So it's just this funny thing. But so yeah, that's it, I think.
Wow, that's so interesting to hear that you were a little shy girl
Yeah.
who decided to start acting. But I'm curious to hear, so you were really shy, and how did how did you find out about acting? How did that come about?
So there was this acting classes, this acting class at my primary school, and it was during lunch. And obviously, I was extremely shy, and at this, I was going through something also at school, because between 10 and 12 years old, also like because I was really shy and stuff, I was also bullying at school for 2 years. And for me, the acting was really like an escape because basically for lunchtime, I had this acting class when I could really, escape from like, all the kids out there. Um,
Mm.
and it's my mom actually heard about so this acting class. She was like, oh, maybe you should try and go for it, because really like I think it was really like I really could not talk. I was like super super shy. So yeah, it's how it all started. Like I would say, first of all, obviously I was shy, then the bullying didn't help because obviously like the lunchtime is like an hour, and when you don't have like loads of friends, it's just like for me it was really like an escape. So yeah, it really saved me, I have to say. And then of course like I loved it because I could really express myself, and like it was really like a revelation.
Mm. And how did you come out from that shy Victoria out of that, that shell and started building that confidence to act and then be on a stage?
Yeah, that's a good question. It took years, obviously, because when I started when I was 11 years old, of course, like at first it was really hard. But I think it takes years. It really takes years. But I never actually like stopped acting. So acting was really like a part of my life. Like and I think it did help me, obviously, because it helped me to express myself and not be afraid. So I had great teachers as well, so it did help. But it took me years because I was still even shy. Like after, I would say, even after 2 years after starting like acting, I was still shy. But it was getting better and better and better. And also, I feel like sometimes even now, I know many actors, they're super shy in real life, but when they're on stage, they're completely different. It's really
Mm.
like a way to really express yourself, and it's very weird because you can be extremely shy in real life, but then as soon as you're on stage, you're completely different. It's not my
Mm.
case anymore because I'm not shy anymore, but I know I have other friends, they're super shy, but when you see them on stage or like on screen, they're completely different. But it does take years. It's really like you need to work on yourself like every day.
Mm, yes, that is amazing. And I think that's what's amazing thing about having some way for you to express and finding that passion. Because I was a really shy girl as well when I
Oh,
was growing
really?
up.
Okay, so
And
we have that in
so
common.
yeah, so I can completely relate to what you say. And I think for me it was writing. So
Mm,
I think, I guess, everyone have a different way of expressing themselves. And when they're following their passion and doing that thing that you're really passionate about, you just like become your true self.
yeah, yeah,
So
I
that's
totally agree.
amazing to hear.
Yeah, I totally agree. But it's funny that you mentioned the writing as well, because I think, I mean, I had that too. I was writing a lot, but I think it's, yeah, we all have like our ways to kind of, also escape
Mm.
yeah, but it's very interesting that you were shy as well.
And I guess I still can be quite shy because I'm pretty introverted as well. So yeah, it takes quite a courage, to talk to new people and
Yeah.
try to, yeah. Although like I'm really good at one-to-one, I think group setting has
Hmm.
always been quite a challenge for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no idea you were shy as a child
Yeah. I
from,
think you would
yeah.
never recognize me. Like, it was completely different. Yeah, yeah. It was really like, and it's not just like a bit, like it was really like I could not even talk. So it's like
Mm,
really, I was really afraid to talk. So yeah. So it's
wow.
just like, so I can totally relate with anyone who's like super shy because I've been there.
Mm,
So yeah.
yes, yes. So did you have any role models? You mentioned about your teacher earlier, but did you have any role models or anyone that you like really admire as you were growing up?
Yeah, I had a few. So of course, I had few great teachers that I will always remember. But also, in my family, I had my grandmother. I
Mm.
know it's just because she was such like a hard worker, and I was thinking about her back in the days. It was so difficult, and she was extremely independent, and she managed to really like have this job like which was really more. It was very difficult at the time because many women were secretary, and it really like for me she was an example because I always wanted to be independent and work hard to get what I want, and I was really grateful to have her as an example. But also as an artist, I loved Hilary Duff.
Hmm.
Actually still love her. Why? Because I think she's one of the rare artists who, in my opinion, found this balance between work and her personal life, which is also, what I was looking for. And of course, as a kid, I loved her, and also she helped me a lot, like to go through things, and then of course, like watching her, I was like, oh, I want to be an actress and that kind of thing. So of course, I really, really admired her, and then my grandmother in my family and my teachers. So yeah, I had a few.
Amazing. And how did they impact you? Like, how did they influence you as you were acting, as you were developing your career as an actor, and also building that confidence and yeah, coming out of that shy girl?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, for example, like if I think of Hilary Duff, like I was watching her after school. There was this TV series, and every time I would like watch her, and she would really give me hope. And I had this diary, I remember, and I was even like saying, "Oh, I want to be an actress like Hilary Duff." And I was really like, she was, yeah, I felt like I had hope, and of course, like it was also some kind of escape for me. Like, you come back from school. I didn't like school. So every time, I would come back home, I would like, for me, would like, she would be a friend, even though I didn't know her, but I was like, oh my God, like I can't wait to watch her on TV, that kind of things. And of course, like I had all these dreams, like to become an actress and to actually like escape Belgium and go somewhere else, of course. And then like, yeah, and then my teachers, like, yeah, they were really supportive, like the drama teachers, so it did help. Like they always like supported me. Of course, my parents always supported me acting wise as well, my grandmother as well, so he helped. But yeah, I think that's it. I think so.
And what's been like the most challenging time for you as you were developing your career as an actor?
Yeah. So first of all, basically when I was 16, I quit school because I wanted to focus on my acting career. So obviously, yeah, it was not easy because then like I decided to move to Paris when I was 17 on my own. And then I started like acting there, and I was on my own. I had to also work. And when you're 17, it's not that easy because like usually people don't hire you when you're not 18 years old. So I had to find like different jobs at the same time to support myself. I was studying in the drama school as well. So I had like 4 or 5 jobs at the same time, then plus drama school. So it was really, really tiring, but I really wanted to do it. So yeah, I was really young, and after living 5 years in Paris, like I decided to move to London. But that was like a big challenge because first of all, my English was not that great. I had to start all over again from scratch because in
Mm.
Paris I had all the contacts, and of course I started like to book French gigs on French TV and stuff. But I felt like I needed more. I wanted to have more like an international career, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna move to London, even though I have to start all over again. But that was really challenging, and especially with the language. I was always scared not to understand when going to audition and stuff like that. It was really,
Mm.
really scary. So that was really, really challenging, and of course later it got better. So yeah, and obviously like the time in Paris, I mean, even though it was great, it was really hard because when you're 17, and you live on your own, and it was my first time like without my parents. Like, I had to really do everything myself and then work. Having like 4 jobs at the same time when you're under 18, it's not easy either. So yeah, but yeah, it was great anyway at the end.
So you moved to London, was that in early 20s, I guess?
Yeah, I was 22, so I moved to London in 2015.
Okay,
Yeah.
and did you know anyone in London? Did you have any friends or any relatives?
Yeah, luckily my brother was here,
Ah, okay.
and yeah, he was in London, and I had like a few friends as well. Not a lot, but I knew a few people. So it was okay because I was not completely on my own.
Mhm.
Because basically when I moved to Paris, I really didn't know anyone. So that was
Mm,
more like a struggle. But here, yeah, I knew people. So it was okay. But I was just more like worried at the time with the language because my English was not really that great. And then you have to start all over again. And it's completely different. And you're always scared not to understand anything. And so, but yeah, I knew a few people. So yeah.
yes, that's always nice to have someone that you know in the area that you're moving to. But I always thought your English was perfect. And
Thank you very much.
and to be honest, I always have that struggle with language as well because English is my second language.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, and I always feel like my English isn't perfect. And even doing this podcast, like I was
Oh no,
like,
I
oh,
think it's
I
great. Your English is perfect. Oh,
thank you.
it's way much better than mine. I still need to improve. No, your English
No,
is really
no.
great.
Yes. So what kept you going in London? You knew a few people but you struggled with your language
Yeah.
and starting from scratch again. What kept you going during that time?
So I just like, I mean, I started to book gigs on my own as well. So the fact that the system is so different here. Like quickly, actually, luckily, I booked loads of acting gigs and modeling gigs, and it was so different than France in a way that I'm not saying it's easier. It's not what I'm saying, but there's much more opportunities here. And I think in a way I felt like it was more open-minded, like people were looking for foreigners and they were looking for French actors and they didn't mind if you had an accent and that kind of things. And then of course I got an agent quite quickly. So I was really super excited about it because I was like, oh my God, like even though my English is not that great, like they believed in me. So, I was also, so there were many things like that that really kept me going. And of course, I always love London, so and I still love London. And I really wanted to. I never wanted to go back to Paris or Brussels. Like I really love it here. So of course, the city and the vibe here. I never imagined myself leaving London. So, but the fact that I started to book like gigs quite quickly, and then I got an agent. Of course, it did help.
Mhm.
Um, and I also started doing things on my own, like directing, and then the directing came along. So, so many things. There were so many opportunities here. So it's just like everything happened so quickly. So
Mm,
yeah,
that's amazing. So that was a great move for you to come to
yeah, no, I
London.
don't regret it.
And yeah, so you mentioned directing, so I'm really, really curious to hear from you how you got into directing.
So yeah, that's funny as well. So basically, like, I started by making my own acting showing myself. So basically, I was really frustrated that when you act, sometimes you don't get the footage to make your showreel, and as an actor, you need a showreel. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it on my own. Then it's gonna be much quicker. So I started to organize like acting showreels for me and my friends. So I would write, I would hire a crew. And then like as soon as I started doing this, I really actually loved it. I was like, oh, that's actually very cool. And I had this story at the back of my mind that, I mean, based on my own experience that I really wanted to tell. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start to write it properly, and I'm gonna make a short film, and let's see how it goes. And then it started like that. I started to write my movie Don't Burst My Bubble, and then I made it happen, even though it was really, really hard, like a big challenge as well. But it started like that, really, with this acting showreel. I was like, oh my God, actually, I really love directing, and I love writing as well. So I was like, oh, great. And then I started to make Don't Burst My Bubble. And then after that, I didn't stop directing. So it really started like that, because before, I don't know, in Paris, I would have never imagined that I would become also a director. Like, it was not even in my mind. So it really, like, it was really unexpected.
I need to watch those
Yeah.
yes, it's films that you've directed for sure, and I'm excited about it. So what are the challenges? Because I know I'm not really familiar with all this acting world. I've never been in the acting world, but I know there are so many male directors,
Yeah.
and there are only few female directors that are really successful. So how do you navigate that world of directing where
Yeah.
there's a lot of male directors?
Yeah, that's actually also a good question. Now I mean, it's getting better on my side, but I have to say, when I started, it was not really easy, especially with this movie, Don't Burst My Bubble, actually, because the people I was working with, they were also mainly male directors. And because it was my first movie, first of all, like, they didn't really take it me seriously, because they were like, okay, she's an actress, she wants to make a movie, whatever, you know. And but I really had this idea and this vision, and it was also based on my own experience, which is like street harassment during puberty, which is actually a real thing. And so I started to work with these guys, and it was a disaster because every time, like, I would come up with something, or I would want to do something, they would say, no, you should do it that way, or you should do it that way. And no, but, or maybe, we could, like, actually make it like everything is happening in her head. The street harassment is not really happening, but it's the way she feels. And I'm like, no, but this is a true story. It's actually a real story. Like, street harassment is happening. And during puberty is like, I'm not making it up. Like, it's really like a huge deal. Like, we need to talk about it. So basically, because also I was new and I was really naive, the movie didn't come up like the way I wanted. So I decided not to release it and start everything all over again, raise funds on my own, pay everybody. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it like the professional way. And that's it. So I did everything all over again. And at the end, I was happy with the results. But it took me like a year and a half to make it happen. So it took a long time. And of course, even now, even though it gets better, I still, like, sometimes I work with guys who are just like, they don't really take me seriously. So I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or if it's something else, but it's very frustrating. So,
Mm.
and it happened to me also recently on the movie I'm working on at the moment. I had to fire actually two guys, because one of them was, in my opinion, completely like macho, like would not even like, would basically ignore me for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I would explain to him, look, we need to communicate better here. Like, there's a deadline, you need to deliver on the deadline, because, there are investors behind this movie. It's really important. And basically would just like, not analyze himself, just like, be upset, whatever. And I decided to just fire him, because I was like, okay, this is not possible. First of all, I want people who actually believe in my story. And it's usually more like stories about women's rights and women's issues. So then I found another editor and another sound recordist, and they were absolutely great. But yeah, it's still like very, very hard, I have to say. And I feel like, sometimes they don't really take you seriously, or they don't believe in the story. So yeah, even though now as a director, I have more experience now, so I know how to. It's different than before. Before I was extremely naive and I was scared to say things. While now I'm not scared anymore. But of course, it's still challenging.
Did you have any self-doubts or imposter syndrome, which I know, as a woman, we tend to have this imposter syndrome?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, personally, I was like, I was like, no way, I'm gonna do it my way. I was really like, okay, this guy is out. Of course, maybe I mean, when I always knew what I wanted. Like, so especially in directing, like if I have a story and I want to do something, for me, it's like there's no way it has to happen. So even though I have like guys telling me, you should do it that way, whatever, I'm not gonna do it their way. But of course, it's just like I would say I felt a bit like, yeah, just more like they don't respect me. So I many times I felt so frustrated. But I would say that I would doubt myself in a way that I wouldn't say myself this is not good, because I knew that this is important to talk about it, because most of my movies are social issues, so it's like real things. And so I didn't really doubt myself, but I was just like feeling frustrated. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, why it can't be easy? It should be
Mm.
easy. We should be able to understand each other, like, and communication is so important as well. And then I wonder also, if you don't believe in the story, why then you want to work with me? It doesn't make any sense. It's fine if you don't want to, but then don't waste my time. But you're right. Of course, like other people might even doubt themselves and can have an impact as well. And so I think you need to be really, really strong mentally as well.
Mm. And how have you been kind of making sure that you're mentally strong and having that attitude of, I believe in my story and I'm gonna do it. If you don't believe in my story, just get out. How do
Yeah.
you make sure that you maintain that mental ability to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, if someone tells me you can't do it, I'm always making sure to prove them wrong. So I have this thing
Yes.
ready that I'm like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So I'm just like, it gives me even more like, strange. But yeah, mentally, I think it's more like, in my mind, I'm more like, okay, I don't care about what people think in general. I think the problem is, and of course, I'm not saying I understand why, but I think most of us care too much about what people think, and actually we
Mm.
shouldn't. I know it's more easy to say, but for me, it's what I have in my mind. I'm like, I don't care about what people like think. If I want to do it that way, I will do it that way. I'm happy to, listen and I'm not saying, okay, I'm not gonna like take advices or something like that, but it should be, like in some kind of respect. But if someone doesn't respect me, for me, it's kind of like, okay. And I think, many people want to be clever as well, and, like that kind of thing. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, if you have something to say, if you have a story to tell, if you want to do something, if you have a project, you should do it. You shouldn't listen too much about what people, say or think about you. And of course, I think luckily I have a great partner. Not
Mhm.
all men are bad, so so it's a great support. And of course, I guess it makes a huge difference as well. And I have great friends, and while it might not be the case for other people, so I guess this help as well. But I think it's all like something that you need to tell to yourself. It's like it's hard work. I think we should all work on ourselves, and analyze ourselves, and also put this like really think that it doesn't matter what people think of us or say, but they're not important. So
Mm.
it's just and I think we do care in our society too much about what people think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, so true, so true. But I personally don't understand why all those men don't believe in your story with
Yeah.
your amazing energy and amazing smile. How can they not believe in you? But
Yeah.
yes,
It's just
but yeah, you did say, not all men are like that, and I know you
no,
have
of
very
course.
supportive partners.
Yeah, and I also had other in my career. For example, I work with the same composer all the time. He's amazing. He's always been supportive, and there are all others that are really great. It's just that some of them are really like taking the piss, but of course you have like many others who are great, but just it's people in general, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So you mentioned all your films are about social issues and women's rights. I'm curious to hear from you how you got into human rights, social issues, especially women's rights.
So basically when growing up, like it's something that always bothered me. Like, so I grew up in Brussels and I experienced loads of street harassment at a young age. So it started when I was like 11 years old. And for me, it was like, okay, I can't understand that. I'm still a kid and I have like all these guys like harassing me. So for me, it was so wrong. And I was really annoyed by the fact also at the time that when I would talk about it, they would say basically that it's my fault. And I'm like, to me, I always like hated injustice. This is not right. Why it would be my fault, or why it would be um, some people would say, for example, yeah, but look at the way you dress and you wear a skirt, whatever. But yeah, but I have a right to wear a skirt. Like it's just like it's that kind of thing. So it's kind of like started when I was a kid. I was like, I could not understand that. And then also like my grandmother also was a feminist as well, and both of my grandmothers. So yeah, I was always like I grew up in that, but also seeing like the injustice really, yeah, really annoyed me, and I really wanted to do something about it. And it was really frustrating because every time I would talk about it, people, even women, would not take me seriously at the time. And I would really all the time I would have these comments like, yeah, but it's the way you look and the way you dressed up, and I'm like, no, it's not my fault, and especially when you're so young. First of all, it's annoying when you are like an adult, but when you're like a kid, it's not normal. Like it's just so yeah, it's kind of started like that with the harassment, and then I saw like few of my friends who've been through also like horrible things. So I was like, okay, I really want to do something about it. And then that's how it started. Like we've done Burst My Bubble, and then with the other movies, even though it's more like focusing on women's rights, I also care about human rights in general, because there are so many issues around the world and not enough is being done. So I think there are so many things to talk about, and we should, I think, raise awareness about it.
Agreed, agreed. So you so you got two films out at the moment, is that correct?
So there's Done Burst My Bubble, Our Streets. Our Street is a documentary.
Mhm.
And then I made like other shorts, but it was for competition, so it's a bit different. But yeah, you're right. So it's two: Don't Burst My Bubble and Our Streets. And now I'm gonna release soon the last one, Quiet.
And would you mind telling me and the listeners what those films are about?
Of course. So, so Don't Burst My Bubble is about street harassment during puberty, so when your body changes. And then Our Streets is also about street harassment, but during lockdown. Because funny enough, like I thought it was gonna get better during lockdown, but actually it got even worse. So I decided to make a documentary about it during lockdown. So that's a documentary about street harassment during lockdown. And Quiet is not a documentary; it's a movie about sexual assaults and why many women don't report it. So it talks also about the system. So yeah, that's the last one.
Okay, amazing. Can't wait to watch them.
Yeah.
And what's next for you? Do you have any other documentaries or films lined up, or you got something planned?
So yeah, I have like things planned, but I would love to do a feature. So that's my next goal, because I've never done a feature, so I would really love to do a feature. And at the moment also I started to direct for other people. So I have also other projects, but for like companies and clients in general, which I only started doing this year because I was so afraid before to actually direct for the people.
Mhm.
And now it's fine because I tried once and then other people came along. So Now it's okay. But yeah, my next, I would love to do a feature. So yeah, but first I'm gonna like focus on the festivals for Quiet, and then after that, yeah, I'm gonna. That's my next project.
Amazing. So exciting for you. When is Quiet coming out?
So it's hard to say because Quiet. So I've just finished the post production, and I can't really release while it's in festivals. So first, I'm gonna submit it to festivals. Already started, but we won't hear before January. But while it's in festivals, it can't be released.
Mm.
So probably it's gonna be released like late 2020, 2024, because usually it's a year when you send the movie to festivals. So
Okay.
yeah, while it's in festivals, I can't release the movie. So I need to wait like the end of the festival seasons and then I can release it.
Okay. Well, I didn't know anything about
Yeah,
that
it's like
at all.
but Danvers My Bubble and Our Street are available on a streaming platform, which is called Indie Clips. So these anybody can watch.
Okay.
But yeah, Quiet is gonna be later.
All right. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Um, so thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's been really inspiring to hear, and I feel like I know a lot about you now.
Thank you so much
Um,
for inviting me.
no, no worries. And I got final couple of
Of
questions
course.
for you. So, what's the best advice you have ever received?
So the best advice I ever received was not to. There's no rules. There's no rules. And honestly, at first I was like, okay, I don't really believe in it, but it's so true. So that's one advice. Yeah, there's no rules. So honestly, like, yeah, don't follow too much the rules, especially in this industry because you never know. Like everybody's different. So yeah, that's to me was the best advice.
That's really great advice, which I've not heard before, I
Yeah,
guess. So
because
there's
many
no rules.
exactly, because even like in the acting, like they always tell you, okay, you should do it that way and you should that way, and directing the same. But actually, no, there's no rules. Like, but even me, I struggled to believe it at first. I was like, no, but I should do it like that, and then I was like, no, actually, no, that's a great advice, and I follow it. And for Don't Burst My Bubble, for example, I did really completely my way. The angles I wanted, I didn't even like because I didn't go to filmmaking school. I only went to drama school, and at the end, the movie really worked well. So I think really like if you start to listen, to people too much, then it kind of like you really need to follow your gut feelings as well in what you really want to do.
So with directing, I got a question. You said you didn't go to directing
Yeah.
school to learn how to direct films. How did you learn? Did you watch other films to learn all the things and then kind of make it into your own style?
Yeah, but I also watched tutorial because when I did this acting showreel at first, I wanted to learn all the vocabulary that you use on set because I was like, I'm gonna hire this crew and I don't know all of this. So I started to kind of like learn as much as I could before filming, but also I have to say I learned a lot while I was working. So it's by
Mm.
working with people and making movies that you learn more and more and more. Even on my last movie Quiet, I learned so much because one of my DOP, she works for television, BBC, and she's done so many things. And even her, she actually taught me so much things that I think that I already knew and I didn't. So there's
Mm.
always something to learn. So I think by just like making your movies and just working and meeting new people, you can learn like a lot. For me, it's the best school.
Yes, yes, I agree as well. There's so much you can learn just watching or going to lectures and
Yeah,
just listening, but you really need that practical application to learn, how it's
exactly.
actually done. And I think it applies to any work or any jobs that you do,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I
I'm
agree.
sure with acting as well that you can learn a lot from drama
Yeah.
school, I'm sure, but it's about just
Yeah,
doing it, isn't it? So,
it's exactly that because even with drama school, even though of course like I learn a lot, for me, at the end, it was really becoming very like technical and a bit robotic, while sometimes it's good to also take a break and just work, and you can learn so much with people you work with. So yeah. But like YouTube channels or podcasts like yours, I think this is great also to learn. So yeah.
Yes. Agreed. And final question. What
Hmm.
advice would you give to those who are trying to follow their passion but feeling challenged to do so?
So once again, don't listen too much to others, but also like believe in your like if you believe in your story, you should really like go for it. And once again, there's no rules. Really, don't listen too much to others. Don't doubt yourself too much, even though sometimes you might think, oh yeah, it's not great. Of course, you can listen to others a bit, but make like your opinions at the end is the one that matters. So it should be, if you want to make a movie, for example, like I take this as an example, but it should be your movie at the end. Like if you watch it, you should be happy with the result. Because sometimes it feels like, especially when you start, people give to you so many advices, and then when you watch the movie, you can't even recognize your work. So it's very important that, yeah, if you believe in something, just go for it, and you don't need like that much money or expensive equipment when you start. You just, I believe if you have something to say, you should really go for it.
Mm, very great advice. Wow. Thank you so much, Victoria, for coming onto the Journey podcast, sharing your journey and sharing your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to meeting you in the neighborhood.
Yes, me
So,
too.
thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed listening to my conversation with Victoria. Please go and follow Victoria on your favorite social media. She is on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can also watch her short documentary, Our Streets, and her short film, Don't Burst My Bubble, on the streaming platform Indie Clips, which is a streaming platform for indie filmmakers. I'll put all the links in the show notes, so I highly encourage you to check them out and support her amazing work. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode.